Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope y'all are doing good today. Hope y'all got notification of me going live. Sorry I missed y'all last Wednesday. That gum old migraine had me down. Hey, Maria, welcome. Did you get a notification? Hey, Simba, welcome. I love your profile pic. That's how my Chihuahua's ears are doing at the moment. I keep taping them. She's a puppy and she's teething, so that's the first thing their ears will um, flop over. Hey, Angel, welcome. Happy Monday. I'm assuming that y'all got a notification by you guys coming in here. Great. I'm going to figure this stuff out one of these days. Y'all just bear with me long enough. Good deal. Hey, Janice. Welcome. Yay. I'm telling y'all, if I get to do this very long, I might figure it out. And just when I think I got it figured out, they'll change something, and then I'll be back to the drawing board. I know I missed Ninja Puppy last week, and she was telling me she didn't get a notification. Part pit bull. He's cute. That's exactly what my puppy's ears are doing right now. Hey, Arnold, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Great. And am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Arnold? I don't know how you could correct me. I hope I'm not butchering it too bad. But I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. I noticed Happy was talking about more snow. My heart just went out to her because it's almost 80 degrees here in South Arkansas today. Azaro Ho sometimes with notifications. Is that what you meant, Janice? Arnold. Okay, good. Beautiful sunshine. Yes, it's been gorgeous here. We've had supposed to be raining about midweek, and Arkansas needs some rain. We're in a major drought right now, so I will not complain if we can get some rain, but I'm just hoping the cold stuff is over with. I do not like it. My customers laugh at me because I 90% of the time have on shorts and flops taking in their babies. Of course, it's all under the same roof. You know, I go through one door and I'm out in my big room where the babies are. So well, I have 4 babies up here. The baby Believe, her Seeping, No, Goodness Gracious, and a Bendigos in the back. I gave them all the opportunity to come join me, and these are the 4 that come and join me. So my baby hit her eye on something this morning. I don't know if they hit her or she hit them, but she's been holding that eye, watching it, making sure we don't need to go see a vet. Seems like always something, or just like kids. Every time you turn around, you got an issue. When they play so hard. Thank you, Simba. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love these babies. Is your dog the one that's part Chihuahua and part Pit Bull? Do I remember that right? Or is it a boxer Chihuahua? Somebody I've had in here before had a Chihuahua, and in my mind, it's a boxer Chihuahua. But I don't know. Your profile picture doesn't look like your dog's that big, but it's hard to tell with those profile pics. Thank you for that. Yeah, they do play rough, and it's pick on puppy time. Whoever's the puppy, I think they have to get her back for them little needle teeth. And I hear three or four ganged up, and I know what's going on. They're all paying back believe for whatever she's done to them earlier. So I think she's okay. She was squinting it quite a bit. Maria's got the Chihuahua boxer. See, I am going on memory. That's pretty good. I'm assuming the mama was a boxer. Could be a bad assumption because I've seen some crazier stuff in my years. So um, he's bigger and shorter. Yeah. Maria's got the boxer Chihuahua. I don't know what you're doing. Her birthday's coming up. She'll be 19 years old. Wow. So was the boxer the mom? I'm assuming. I learned in my early days of owning Wagon Tails that Miss Kitty's watching. Well, hey, Pam Gaskin, there's an Arkansas buddy. That's my traveling partner. Can't believe I got her on YouTube. Yes, the mama was the boxer. Miss Kitty is a long coated Chihuahua. And let's say, I don't guess none of these are can't. Pam has Peyton, that's the daddy of a couple of my dogs. He's Kelsey's daddy. But I don't think none of these, No, and him, Brad, and had Yes and Maybe. Y'all know my crazy names. Kind of funny looking. Hey, they've all got their personality. What I was going to say about learning about the way dogs are breed is we had this dachshund in I'm talking first couple of years of having a boarding facility. And at the time, I had a old dachshund that it was really strange. His owner, I think, lived in like a little camper or something, but he brought me the dog Willie. And Willie stayed here probably 90% of the time. And then he would come get him and take him around town riding and stuff and feed him a package of hot dogs. And then I'd have a sick dog for 2 or 3 days. But it was just a weird thing. But Willie had separation anxiety. So a lot of my wooden doors back then had looked like a vent in the bottom of them. But what had happened was if Willie was on one side of the door and you were on the other side, he would come through and there'd be a hole big enough for a dachshund to come through. And he, uh, we just, at the time I had boxers. And so he was happiest when he was with my dogs or me. So he just had full range of the place. Well, I had local doctor Shih Tzu puppy that she's probably right around a year old. And I go outside, and of course, this is back for all this spay and neuter stuff and really recommending that. And I go out, and Willie has bred this Shih Tzu through a fence. If I hadn't have seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. But I mean, it was crazy. And of course, I ended up paying for the Shih Tzu spay, and you know, I mean, I learned a lot. And so, if there's a female in heat, there's not going to be a male within a mile. You have Otis Great Dane. He goes for his surgery on the 16th. No more bell dingers. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, Great Danes are awesome dogs. Big, beautiful babies. 190 or 180 pounds. Yeah. I think you was talking in a chat about getting hit in the nose or something. Was that you, or was that Happy? I don't remember, but it's somebody that had been on my channel and talking about their babies, and the Great Dane had gotten a lap and kind of hit her in the nose, so she was having a moment. And I can just say it, their big old heads. Um, Starting out in boxers, I learned right away you never bend over a boxer, because they're notorious for jumping, and their top of their head hits you in the face, and it does not feel well. So what's everybody got going on? I was watching Willis this past weekend, and they've been so great to help new channels and pushing it. And I thought, that would be cool if I could get Willis to come on and do an interview with me, and him talk about his passion, which is motorcycles and racing, as we have seen from his days at the track when he's done videos. And I could talk about my passion, dogs. And so I want to see if that might happen. I would like to start setting up some interviews to make this a little more entertaining than me just blabbing at you. But I also love questions or comments uh, that we can talk about what y'all want to talk about too. But if anybody has a direct line to Willis, tell him I'm coming for him to do an interview with me. And another one, two more I'd love to do. Mr. Coop, one, because he's been so gracious in promoting my channel. But the other thing is, every time he says something about Chihuahuas, he goes into this story of how he never had a good experience with Chihuahuas, and he'd talk about how mine'd be laid up here and so good and quiet, all that. Well, it would be fun to get Mr. Coop's version on why he feels that way about Chihuahuas, and hopefully we can teach him that it's what you make them. Yeah, Janice talking about big hit in the face, the big old head. Janice said Travis would be a great interview. Yeah, I just love him. I mean, he's got such a good heart. You meet somebody or hear him talk for a few minutes, and you're kind of like, we'd probably be good buddies if we were in the same room or had a chance to meet. And that's the kind of way I feel about Willis. He's just so laid back, or Travis. And the way he's helped those kids, especially Levi, and and I know y'all have been watching all that mess that's gone on recent. But to see an adult taking time with teenage boys, and to hear what Eli's mama said, or Levi, not Eli, Levi's mom said about him needing a role model, and that Travis had hit that. Man, that touches my heart. Arnold said ankle biter. Yeah, I've had a couple. But I tell you what, I probably had more biters. Cocker Spaniels was always the dogs that seemed to have an issue with me. I don't know why, but of my 40 years grooming, um, me and Cocker Spaniels had the most. Now, I've had pit bulls that biggest babies, they get such a bad rep. They're what you make them, and if they're loved and cared for, that's what you get, a loving, caring dog. If they're tied to a tree out back and no attention, then you're going to get what you get. You know, I used to tell people, if you tied me to a tree and when I finally did get off, I wouldn't stop running for the first 30 minutes probably. And, you know, I mean, just think about all the things that bother them. They're bored. They can't do anything. Most of the time, they knock their food and water bucket over if they have it. And, but just think of a bug crawling just out of reach, or whatever it is, a cat walking by, antagonize them. I mean, that's just, and I've always thought too that I try to treat people like I'd want to be treated. And that's the way I've always looked at dogs. I saw a horrible video, and it was a grooming place in Florida. And this lady, it was, let me think, can see the dog. It was a small dog. I don't remember, but it had had issues being groomed. But this was the owner of the facility, and in the sprayer she had, I know exactly the force of water that comes out because I have one just like it. And the first time I used it, I thought, Lord, I'll have a chihuahua on the ceiling. They're just, uh, it's got a lot of force with it. Well, this dog has got a tether on, which I've never liked. Some groomers only use a noose and tether in the tub, but they've always gotten my way. And if I wouldn't want something around my neck, that's the way I look at it with the dog. But anyway, this horrible person is holding that sprayer way away, and this dog is flipping back and forth, and how it didn't break its neck, I don't know. But what makes it even worse is two employees walk by, stop, get their phone out, video, and then walk off laughing. And I'm if that was my dog, oh, we wouldn't it wouldn't be a pretty sight. But that's kind of how I've built my business too, and the trust with people taking care of their dogs is, if I wouldn't do it to my dog, I sure ain't gonna do it to somebody else's. And Maria says yours wasn't an ankle biter. Yeah, I've talked to you about my first Chihuahua Promise, and she's my PPC, personal protection Chihuahua. She's 13 now, but it was because how she was handled as a puppy. She wasn't socialized, had never been in a car, hadn't been out on grass, was scared to death of the world. And, when you get a 12-week-old puppy that takes you a month to touch, there's issues. Poor puppies have a bad reputation. Yeah, and some of them deserve it. I mean, but um, most of them is, um, if a little training and socializing. What did I miss up here? Oh, Simba, I'm so sorry. 15-year-old lab mix passed away last week. I'm so sorry. Uh, that's just, that's the only thing I found I hate about dogs, and that's saying goodbye. I mean, that's just the only thing I don't like about them is having to say goodbye. And I've been blessed. I've those of you that's joined me before heard me talk about Brownie, my dog that lived to be 27, and she's buried out in front of my place here. I was 22 years old when I started Wagging Tails, and Brownie started it with me. She was a Chihuahua Terrier mix, about 12 pounds, didn't have a tooth in her head, but man, she could train puppies and other dogs. They'd be screaming like she's killing them. And I'm like, I know she ain't hurting you. She don't have any teeth. So, but yeah, and I had a Jack Russell lived to be 21. Her daughter was 19 and her daughter was 18. So it's tough to lose them anytime, but when they've been a part of your family, and to me, they're four-legged kids. I mean, that's just what they are. Yeah, Janice says her heart breaks for you, Simba, and mine too. And we'll have you in our thoughts and be sending big hugs your way because um, that's just, there's no words usually to even, other than it's a major loss. Arnold says poor puppies have a bad reputation. Yeah, and a lot of it is deserved. But I always think about you have to look at things from their point of view. They're what 6 inches from the floor, and everything around them is 100 times bigger, and so yeah, you need a pretty good attitude to make it in this life sometimes. But it is the thing socializing them is, and I learned that even more. I knew it before I got into Chihuahuas, but it really became evident trying to show Chihuahuas because my first litter, Promise's first litter, um, there was 5 puppies in her first litter. Well, her two daughters are still here, and they were like 9 months old before I got them to a dog show, and they hated it. I mean, they didn't want nothing to do with it. Well, if my dog's not gonna have fun, I'm not gonna be out there making them do something. If they enjoy it, and I've had dogs that like, oops, she just begs, and if she knows somebody's looking at her, she's gonna show out that much more. And Kelsey has had that kind of show attitude. But if I take them in the ring a couple times, if they're scared, then I need to let them see nothing's going to hurt them and let them learn the game. But if they absolutely hate it, they're going to be doing what these guys are doing up here. What's Janice say? No, if that were my dog, I would certainly be arrested. Yeah, and it's bad um, to have anything like that going on, but this was the lady's own security cameras that caught it, and then one of the employees thought it was a good idea to post that. And it's like, first off, how could you treat a dog like that and expect to take care of other people's dogs? I mean, and the dog easily, somebody was mentioning, this was actually in Louisiana. I said it was in Florida. It was in Louisiana. If y'all Google something about dog getting a bath or something in Louisiana, it'll probably pop up. And warning you ahead of time, it's a hard video to watch. But yeah, I'd be in jail or under it if something like that. Maria says, I would have reported that. I groomed your baby. And I totally appreciate people that groom their own dogs because guess what? They appreciate me 100 times more when they know what it's like. And I can't tell you, especially the last couple of years as I've been trying to retire from grooming, I have 3 or 4 customers that I got them the equipment and they came and I'd show them. And I have a lady, good friend of mine that lives in North Arkansas now, but she has a standard poodle, and she's a dog groomer's dream because she keeps the dog's face and feet done. She has this bouffant top knot, which her daughter and I always have this funny thing. If something happened to her, the lady, the first thing me and her daughter would do would be cut that top knot off. But if you've ever seen show poodles with all the big hair, and now the rest of her's clipped, she's got little pom poms on each leg. Uh, but literally, she walks into the groomer every 4 or 5 weeks, and I don't really know what they're grooming because she has everything done ahead of time. So it's pretty cool. Simba said they make room so you can help the next one. Yeah, and I think I saw something about, um, oh, that was you, Simba, saying, or no, Maria saying, pull them up here. So sorry for your loss. My worst nightmare. She is my one and only pet dog. And it hurts whether you have 1 or 12 like me. Um, I don't care, but I've always said you can never replace a dog, but I've seen it over and over in the 40 years of dealing with pet parents and stuff. Uh, the quickest healing is putting that grief into loving a new one. And, everybody's different in how they grieve and all. And I do think it helps when you have more than one dog because, and they go through the grief just like, we do. And anytime I've had changes in my household or in my customers that had, 2 or 3 dogs that I boarded or whatever, um, they grieve just like we do. So again, I'm so sorry. Uh, what to say? Yep, said that about helping the next one. Yeah, and like I said, that's just the toughest deal I found about uh, dogs and pets in general. My donkey will be 23 in June, and you know, miniature donkeys. I mean, it's not unheard of for them to live 25 or 30 years, but I lost my mini horse that was her partner 3 summers ago, and she was 18 or 19, and that was tough. And then I had 2 pygmy goats, and I lost one of my goats a couple summers ago, and um, but the goat thinks she's a dog, so I thought it would be really hard on her and the donkey because they like to be with somebody. But the way my fencing is all, they have like their own pasture part, but then they can come all the way around to within a fence or two of the dogs, and they can see them. My goat rubs up and down the fence, and the dogs would be like going nuts. But it's funny how if I put a boarding dog like in the front area instead of the back area, it's like I can't figure out what's wrong, and it'd be because they're not with their goat friend. They want in the back where they can go see. Her name is 50. My 2 goats were 50 and 52, and I named them that at the time because that was my partner was 50 and I was 52. So uh, 50 was will be 11 in March. But they're sweet, sweet, sweet animals. Otis was actually like that. He was afraid of everything. He didn't know how to eat out of a bowl. He had never been outside, never been in a car until that day. It was sad, but he's good now. Yeah, and I just had a deal with a customer this in the last week that they have one of my chihuahuas, a long coat. It's a let's see, it's a up son, and he comes for daycare. Well, they had another dog that, if you looked up Tibetan Spaniels, they kind of look a little bit like a Pekingese, but not as smushed in as a Pekingese. They have a little bit more muzzle. But anyway, they lost Baxter a couple of years back, and it just was heartbreaking. Well, they took in this dachshund mix, and the dog, nobody knows what he's been through. But first off, he's a fear biter, and I'd much rather deal with an aggressive dog than a fear biter because they're biting because they're scared. And they've really worked with this dog, and he's come a long ways. And I haven't pushed him to, like, I could force him to let me pick him up. One time I did with a towel, and he would have ate me up if I hadn't known how to handle him. But he's just made leaps and bounds, and different customers, when they're coming in to pick up their dogs, he's, interested, and he's smelling their hand through the fence and that kind of stuff. So that's all improvement. But one day last week, the owner called, and he thinks he startled the dog from a deep sleep. They were in the bed, and the dog was kind of under his pillow. Well, he charged his wife, and she had to run into the bathroom to get away from him. And of course, now if she gets fear, I mean, it's like going in circles. But I said, if you could just have a magnifying glass and look back and what this dog has been through, it might help you understand. And I think with more love and time, they're going to get him through this. But it was hard to see a girl that loves dogs, and to have her own dog trying to eat her like that. It hurt her feelings more than anything. Oh, but it makes such a difference. And if you look back at uh, dogs with issues, 90% of the time it's because they didn't get socialized. And if you think about us, if you go do something for the first time, depending on your personality, some are scared to death, freaking out. Some are just, I'm going to do it anyway, whatever your personality. But if it's the first time, there's always going to be a uneasiness or something. I know that was me getting on the plane for the first time. I was scared to death. But, when um, it's just, if we could just see what they've been through, it would probably help us to understand them a little bit more. Okay. Uh, Simba has two female black cats. Yeah, I've had a cat boarding for a couple of weeks. He goes home today, and I think he's pushing 20 or 22 pounds. He's huge. But the beagle comes for doggy daycare. Um, and then when they go out of town, they've been in Florida for a couple of weeks. So I've had the dog and the cat, and he's not scared of other dogs. That have a cat condo that he's in, and I've kept cats in the past where you don't change their environment. A lot of times they don't like it to be in a different place. Well, and we would cover them, to make it where they couldn't see the dogs and dogs couldn't see them. But this cat, he's so laid back, but I know he's ready to go. He's like, all right, I've been here 2 weeks is enough. Your foster failure. Yeah, that used to be a running joke of ours with the animal shelter. Um, you know, foster, if we found somebody to foster, we were like, jumping up and down because there just wasn't enough homes to go around. So, and we knew if we could get them in somebody's home for a few days, our hope would be, okay, there's not another home, so you're it. And that worked so many times. But I don't ever think, I mean, it takes a special, special heart to do that. And I just applaud people that open up their homes and take in dogs and cats in need like that and give them a chance at getting a new home. Um, but working with Leader Dogs for the Blind, I know what it's like of keeping a dog for a year and then taking it back. And that's pretty much what rescues do. Um, we've got several around here that have been taking truckloads up north. And unfortunately, the shelters are starting to fill up in the northern states. I've always had a hard time understanding that. I think it is part of a it's a responsible owner type thing. That's part of the issue. I don't know, y'all heard somebody walking around in there. Um, but I do know it's a lot of different laws and stuff that has make the situation where just in the South in general, I mean, there's very little funding, if any, and uh, it's just not a good deal. And uh, the shelters up north used to beg for dogs because people wanted pets, and but I think we're up to something like 500 dogs that have been shipped up north in just the past couple of years, which is wonderful for those dogs to get those chits that they wouldn't have got here. Otis is doing great. He loves other dogs, people, kids, and cats. It's always nice when they have an easygoing dog that loves everybody. Mine, I take mine to church with me, and that's how a lot of them socialize. I always said if they can handle the praise and worship music at Victory Church, they can pretty much handle any dog show noise. But that's their only time to be around kids. And when you don't have kids, if they're not used to something, and most of the time they're scared of the kids because they don't know what they are. Oh, we waking up. Let's show them your eye. See what her eye looks like. You're not squinting it quite as bad. Yeah, her just got a boo boo on her eye. It's her dip. Y'all getting on the edge. I'll have to set you down if you're gonna get on the edge. I know the rules. Y'all know the rules. They lasted longer than I thought they would. Hi, Denise. Welcome. Welcome in. Well, guys, I'm going to do my best to do a live Wednesday. I apologize for last Wednesday. I had a bad old migraine that knocked me out for a couple of days, and I hated it. I appreciate everybody that's been pushing, got my numbers. I think it's like 514 or something like that. So tickled to death. And I've got a list of folks that I'm trying to line up, dog friends that would be some interesting topics. That's another thing for me to learn how to do with this equipment, be able for y'all to hear it, me hear it, but I do think it'd be a lot of fun. Three of my internet buddies that I'd like to go for is Travis, Mr. Coot, and Tug. Just to get them talking about dogs and get that audience, because I know most of y'all have came from that audience, and I just appreciate everybody that shared the videos and helped me out. I didn't know until Shizzy, him, I guess it was when him and Tug was on, and Tug made a comment about my channel, and he calls it palate cleanser or something. And anyway, I was the 500 came up, or 1,000 came up, and they were saying that you can get monetized now with 500 once, but the watch hours is something. Now I'm trying to figure out how to get all that going. But just like with Travis's friend Clayton, that they got that kid to over 600 this weekend, just like that. And that's what I love. I love communities where uh, we all can support each other. And, you know, and if we do go off topic, nobody's going to have a fit, but it's just fun to do. I mean, I think y'all can tell I like to talk. So as long as people are joining and and typing in issues, questions, comments, whatever, then we'll continue to do it. But I would, like I said, like to get some interviews going and help me continue learning how to do this. And I think it'll be fun too for uh, seeing how somebody else got going in this. So now the dogs are going in their carrier over there. I have a ramp that goes up to a big carrier that it's just basically a dog bed for them. They've got a blanket in there and got it fixed just like they want it, but they got down from here and went and got another bed. What a life. Hard, hard life. Well, I'm not going to keep y'all much longer, but thank y'all for joining me. And if nothing breaks or tears, I plan on 2:30 Central for Wednesday. And I got some video shorts that I'm got to get uploaded of some of my daycare babies and that kind of stuff. But thank y'all for hanging out with me. And please remember, there's always something to bark about. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Take care. Love y'all.